So I had a client, the client who came to go through the grief. She started by saying that, I was waiting to meet you and discuss this because I can't talk to my mother about this. I can't talk to my brother about this. And I can't talk to my husband. And I can't talk to my other peer coaches. And then she put me in the center and said, I can only think of having this conversation with you. And for a moment, I didn't feel elated, but I felt very pressured. I felt very stressed that she is not able to do this conversation with anybody else that she just listed. And therefore, who am I in this space? And I just want to share this feeling that I had in the beginning of the conversation. And I didn't know how to deal with that. It was extremely stressful for me when she said this. But I think I was able to put it behind me as I started listening to her. It just vanished. So I just want to put it out here and see if there are some thoughts that I can take from your wisdom, collective wisdom, which will make me feel a little more grounded, a little more centered, because it just took me off guard initially. Yeah.
Okay, very nice. Thanks, Johnny, for sharing that. Now, before I jump in, let's open the floor for all the rest of us. What do you notice about what Johnny just mentioned? What do you notice about what Johnny just mentioned?
About the pressure that he felt.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to suggest that he created some kind of expectation for the conversation, expectation about himself. So that may have, created some kind of, judgment or evaluation in his head. But as he continued through the conversation, that may have gone away.
Okay, really nice. What about the rest? What is this telling us? Okay, so let's dissociate out of this, right? What's this telling us about the coach? The coach in that moment, when the client gave that input to the coach, what is it telling us about the coach in that moment? What has happened to his presence?
If I may.
Mm-hmm.
The word that really got me was when he said, caught me off guard. And for me, when as a coach, when you go into a coaching conversation, you really have no idea what the client wants to explore in that session. So if you were to go in with a clear a mind that's not not going into to I wonder what my client is going to talk about, or for me to get how do I deal with this, I think that's what came to me.
Okay. About anyone else? No? Okay. Now, what would be the best way to reflect back to the coach in this case? So if you're the team coach now, or if you're the mentor coach or the team coach, and what would be the best way when you hear a coach telling you this thing? So if you're planning to be a mentor coach, in fact, we have a program called the Certified Mentor Coach Program. And if you're planning to be a mentor coach, one of the important things when you have coaches that tell you, hey, mentor, I'm facing this challenge. It just caught me off guard. Okay, what would be a best response for us to do here? If we want to still be present, okay, so remember, now we are being present in a few layers. Present with the coach, who at the moment sharing with us about the incident that he or she has with the client. Well, this is one example I'm going to give you. So, Johnny, earlier you mentioned about being present is really much like the mirror. And you mentioned earlier about the mirror being, not having its own emotions, but reflecting back what it sees. So, as you think about that, and whatever you just mentioned earlier about you feeling that you got caught off guard, what is the relationship between the mirror that you mentioned earlier and this sense of being caught off guard by the client?
So, wanting to be like the mirror without any emotion is that's my journey and not a destination.
Okay.
And what I'm realizing with what showed up to me just now, or what happened yesterday, is that it's not easy always to be that emotionless mirror. There could be moments as a human being that that expectation, or it seemed like an expectation onto me from the client, which just took me away from wanting to be that mirror. And I'm just realizing that, yes, this is a continuous journey, and this has happened, and I know that I'm recognizing that this is part of me being that human, being that vulnerable human being that I am.
Mm. And what would be different for the mirror as the mirror faces new clients who might catch the mirror off guard in future?
So what I'm doing to that mirror is to be able to keep wiping it, so that it keeps itself shining for the other person to see the reflection. And these are but small specks of dust which keeps coming onto the mirror time and again. And I think pauses like this are opportunities for the mirror to take a piece of cloth and wipe it clean and clear all the time. And there is no way I can say that I have wiped it and I don't need to wipe it again.
Mm. Yeah. And how are you feeling right now as you're just sharing that?
I'm giving myself the permission to be that person who I am. I was, and I am, and I will be. And there is a constant journey. And what do I feel good that I'm moving forward. And also to some extent know that, yes, if something like this were to happen again, I will remain grounded and not get caught off guard.
Mm.
And this is something which I'm realizing it doesn't come with any credentialing or anything that the world is giving me. I think this is something that I have to give to myself all the time.
Mm. I really love what you just mentioned earlier about this is something that I have to give to myself. And I think that's really beautiful. And one of the beauty in presence is for the coach to also have acceptance with themselves and to recognize that the mirror will always have dust, no matter how clean you've cleaned the mirror.
Yeah.
Right? There will always be dust that comes. There will always be blind spots that will catch us off guard. we thought that, oh, we kind of separate ourselves from all the ego, but somehow we allowed this little thing to seep in. And one of the things I always say, that ego is always our greatest friend and also our greatest enemy. Our greatest friend is because it allows us to recognize that we're still human, that we still have areas that we need to recognize. And it's also greatest enemy because sometimes it might blind us from the truth, or from us to be so caught up in our performance to show, right? So sometimes we always tell people, I said, one of the key things being present is, are we showing off? Are we showing to tell? Are we showing for something, or are we showing up to be there with the client? Because if we're just showing off, then we will just go around and tell clients, oh, today I had a chance to meet this CEO. Today I've seen what we call the plague of social media branding. And this idea that, okay, branding means I got to tell people I had lunch with this CEO, I coached this group CEO, or this, the big question is this: why do we need to tell people who we have coached, or who are these great people, right? If the purpose is for personal branding, then that tells me a lot about your personal brand, because it tells me how rooted you are, or how grounded you are as a person. Do you need the validation of others to show how good you are? So one of the biggest thing in the coaching journey is that as you're coaching more, we thought we're helping our clients, but actually we're beginning to realize more and more about ourselves. That reflection that we thought we are, the mirror then realizes that it is its own reflection. The beauty of that mirror is that the mirror then realizes that it's its own reflection of itself, that it has to accept its own flaws, its own who it is as an individual, because mirrors come in all shapes and sizes. Sometimes you have glass mirrors, you may have bronze mirrors, you have gold mirrors, but the beauty of mirrors is that it's reflecting back to himself. So I love what Johnny just asked earlier this evening about the incident with the client. It triggered him, and what should he do? And realize that the answer that we gave him was that we didn't provide the answer, but the client created a connection for themselves. And when that happens, now the answer is deeper than had I just offered an answer just to resolve the superficial issue, because there's a deeper issue there. And the role of the coach then is to help the client to create those connections. Now, again, these connections are not forced. These connections are not being imposed on the clients. The clients are still having that space to explore all the different contexts. Yeah. Okay, good. So let's open the floor now. Any thoughts, comments, and observations that you guys have over the last several minutes? Anyone?
I feel I'm back to kindergarten after getting my PCC, and it is such a lovely experience to be in that kindergarten state. And today was very, very powerful in many ways than one, in terms of the focus, the learning, and it's a fantastic experience. Thank you, Jedi, and thank you all of you for this wonderful journey. Brilliant.
This journey was made possible by all the amazing coaches here who are on this journey, right? And I often say this: the day when we achieve something as a coach is the day we got to ask ourselves, okay, let's go and relearn every single thing again, right? So that we don't let that glow or overwhelm us. And I think that's so powerful in that moment. So as one of the closing things that we're going to do tonight is this: remember the 5 areas that we talked about earlier, this power reflection. The power reflection is one of the competencies, or one of the sub behavior markers that we look at for those of you who are going for ACC PCC level or PCC MCC level, which is reflection, reflecting back to the clients. And if you recall, one of the interesting things about presence is this: to be fully conscious, create spontaneous relationship with client in the 4 areas: open, flexible, confident, style, and curious as well. A lot of coaches say, oh, I want to dance in the moment. Coaching is all about dancing in the moment. It's one thing to say that you want to dance in a moment. There's another thing to experience the dance in this moment. What we just experienced here over the last several minutes is an experience of a dance in this group. And for those of us who are thinking about group coaching or team coaching, the dynamics is that in that moment, are we able as a coach, are we able to draw from each individual? Are we able to see the rhythms and the flow of the conversation and to move in that conversation? The beauty of the dance is that dance, although there are certain rhythm, tempo, there's certain structure to the dance, but when the structure takes a back seat and the dance takes the front seat, all of a sudden we're just watching in that moment a beautiful creation that's happening. And that's why one of the best things that we always teach coaches is this idea of co-creative process. Every single thing in a coaching conversation is about co-creation, the ability for us to co-create something in that moment to create that magic. What Disney always says is, I want people who enter Disneyland to experience magic. And he makes sure that every single person, down from the people who are cleaning the streets to the store managers to the cashiers, that they have a vibrant smile, a skip in their step. They identify the people who align with the same culture to do that as well. So think about this. We're going to end tonight and this evening with just a thought, these 5 thoughts here. The power of reflection, reflecting the content of the story from our clients, reflecting the context of the situation that we're hearing, reflecting the emotions that we're seeing and we're feeling from the clients, reflecting the thoughts that we're listening to, we're experiencing from the client, and reflecting the moment by moment shifts. Out of all these 5s, one of the most powerful one, it's the ability for us to reflect in that moment with the client. The moment by moment shifts. So we're going to do this simple exercise just to end off tonight. Is this, so this is going to be for everyone, okay? What is a moment by moment shift that you notice about a friend here in this conversation here? So anyone can open your mic and just share. So you can save this, right? Well, I was noticing Wei Yong over the last 30 minutes. He was so handsome. I love his hair. His hair was here, and then I realized, and I love the way, so what I want you to do is this: give us evidence of what has happened in the moment by moment that you see the person changed. Okay. Now the change doesn't have to be a big change. Sometimes you can see the lightness of the shoulders, the maybe a bigger smile, maybe the eyes are bigger, or maybe the way that they're breathing is now lighter. Okay, so who would like to share? And we'll just go one round, just share about just couple 1 or 2 minutes per person to share a moment by moment shift that you notice of another friend of us. Okay, so if you share about that person, then the next coach cannot share about the same person. So for example, if Johnny talks about Hazel, the rest cannot talk about Hazel. You choose another person, then Hazel have to talk about someone else. Okay, so this is a very fun exercise to notice, and it's a very good exercise to practice moment by moment shift. Even right now, you can see and observe everybody in this moment. Who would like to go first? Okay, Gopalan. Let's go.
So that I have a bigger choice. Okay, I mean, for me, the most that I noticed from a moment to moment shift was from Johnny when he came in and shared about being caught off guard. And even as he said that, he was really feeling that heaviness in him when he said that. And towards the end of the conversation, when he shared about being back in the kindergarten and continuing with this journey, and the lightness with which and the enthusiasm he showed in moving forward with the journey was really very telling for me.
Wow, that's beautiful. So Gopalan has just nominated Johnny.
So thanks, Gopalan. I'll pick it up from where you left, and I want to make this observation that I have been observing Joanne from the time she came in. And initially she was like wondering what was going on. And from there, when she got an idea, I could see her face, the skin, everything kind of shining. Her forehead was shining, and then she started smiling like the way she is right now, and the whole shoulder kind of eased up. I'm guessing that she kind of got into this discussion, and she's freely flowing in the discussion. That's the observation and reflection that I would like to make about Joanne.
We can see a beautiful smile now, Joanne. Okay.
Thank you, Johnny. I usually do not like to comment on any thoughts if I am not very sure. So I joined this session late, and I wasn't sure what was the discussion, but as I move along, I find that it was a lot about who am I. So I rather be myself. Who am I today? I did not observe anyone so intensely, and I don't think I would like to comment just for the sake of commenting. But I want to say that I really enjoyed the session, the part where you all talk about who am I, because I'm also struggling with my identity of who am I ever since I start coaching, coming from a corporate background and then eventually finding my niche and moving along in the coaching and also trying to anchor myself in a second career. So I find that who am I is a search that is ongoing. In between, you probably will find your voice. And this voice that you actually have found is actually through the help of many people that you meet with. Yeah, that is something I just want to share.
Wow, thanks, Joanne. Would you want to be stretched a little bit more? you know me. I love to stretch because since yeah. Now, one of the key things you can try is this, right? This activity moment by moment. Nobody knows what it is. We're just doing it now. So over the last 1 minute or 2 minutes, as you watch Gopalan share about Johnny, do you see a difference before he shared about Johnny and after he shared about Johnny, or his observation of Johnny? Do you see a difference?
Gopalan to me has always been very focused and very composed and is always in that thinking mode.
Okay. Do you
So
notice any change in before and after that he shared about Johnny?
it's the degree of smile that has changed. But
Okay. So what happened to the degree of smile?
so during his talk, when he actually shared about Johnny, so there were a lot of thoughts that is flashing in his head, and he shares based on his observation, and then after that, when he has shared based on the response of Johnny, he smiled. It's just a very happy smile. I mean, it's a very nice engagement moment with each other.
Yeah. How many of you also noticed that when after Gopalan share or during the process of as he was sharing, you could hear, well, at first he was very, very calm. Then after that, wow, when you start sharing this, there's a lot more energy. There's this like very gentle, yet confident, yet very, very poised, yet very, very elegant, very dignified way of sharing. And then you can see the smile coming and you can even feel it. Yeah. So what Joanne has done, she thought that she missed out the first part of the class, but she successfully did whatever the activity was, which was to notice that moment. Yeah. So let's give her a round of applause. She did that. Yeah. So it's not a trick exercise, it's just an exercise to practice, right? Even if you miss the first part, but you see, notice even she missed the first part, she was able to just, hey, okay, let me catch on what's happening in this class, and she's observing and noticing all the process. Okay, very nice. So since we have done with Johnny, Gopalan, and Joanne, who would like to go next?
I can go next. Yeah, so I'm not going to answer a question directly, but I think I'm just going to say what I observed. So first thing when I came in, I observed that Yoko's head, she moved back a bit and her eyes slightly lit up. I didn't know this was going to be the question to be asked, but anyway, when I come into the coaching session, I always look up for Yoko's expression. So this is why I called it a bit of a cheat. The second time I actually made an observation was when I was about myself, because I show my screen and someone said the most famous person is here. What a trick, right? So to acknowledge that it's dangerous, to not acknowledge that is also dangerous, because it is said right after I turn on my screen. So I kept a very straight face and not let the inputs of the environment affect my facial expression. Very deliberate choice as well. The third thing that I observed, interestingly, was about Johnny. It wasn't what Gopalan observed, interestingly, because this was evidence that I was actually more present in my thoughts and reflection during the conversation. But what I observed about Johnny is that Johnny actually spoke slower in terms of the tempo because of the way Jedi paused. I don't know whether there's a relationship here, but as Jedi gave a slight pause at the end every time after Johnny responded, his tempo slowed down as well. So that is my own personal observation. The fourth observation I had was for Hazel, because when Jedi decided to challenge Joanne further, Hazel moved her head back. Yeah, back and forth. I don't know if there's any relation to that. And then for Wei Yong, quite still, but I think my observation here is you cut your hair since the last time I saw you. So that's as much as I can output already. My mind is a blank.
That's very good. In fact, he basically Wilson observed every single person here, which was really, really wonderful. Yeah, and Wilson always know I was always like to tease him, and then well, thanks so much for sharing that. And now we're left with Hazel or Wei Yong, who would like to go.
Okay, answers Wilson's question is why I'm shifting is because there's another Hazel on the other side at the picture. So I'm trying to cover up, the red one over there, right? But I like the sunflowers. What I pick up, I came in late, and what I pick up basically that most significant to me is that no doubt when Johnny was saying about, he was stressed in the part where he had the conversation with his client, is that he noticed he was managed to change his state in order to go in to proceed further at the right state, right? Rather than hang on to that state and continue. So the stage management was pretty reactive. Okay, that's basically what I got. I wasn't so much on observing Gopala because I always see him. So he's my Gopapa.
Okay.
Right. So, that's basically it from my end.
Thanks, Hazel. And finally, we have Wei Yong.
Yeah, hi. Okay, so I was observing a few folks here. First one that caught my attention a bit was actually Wilson. At first, he was very intently listening, not much movement, although I can only see his head and shoulders, right? But I realized to a point where some people started to share. Then Wilson had some shifts, not say physical shifts, like he started to be more relaxed. I feel like he's rotating his chair, then scratching his arm, face. It seems to me like he knows what he's going to say already. Starting, he was trying to figure out. Then the moment he knows exactly what he's going to say, then he started to be relaxed. Then some of the actions like scratching, twisting here a bit, started to came out. So that's what I observed. Then also, like for example, Gopalan, we spoke about before he shared his observation on Johnny, and after it was what I noticed also at the start when he was listening, he was leaning back, and his weight was to the other side of his body. Then he had his hand thinking very intently. Then when he was sharing, definitely you could see that he was more animated. He was sitting to the front of his seat, leaning forward. And after he shared, you could sense the entire like a relaxation. Now he's leaning forward to one side, like chill, the chill mode. I've done my job now. Okay, now let's hear about what other has to say. So then he realized, you saw him drinking water a few times. Okay, again, relaxed. So that's what I observed as well.
Oh, thanks everyone for really participating all out. Really want to congratulate all of us, and thank you for showing up today. And because all of us showed up today, we had some amazing sharing. Now, the beauty about the conversations doesn't end here, and I hope this session has helped you guys to maybe see presence from a fresh perspective, or maybe rekindle the flame of presence once more. And really appreciate everyone for tuning up today, and we look forward to seeing you in our upcoming sessions as well, mentor coaching sessions. And for those of you who are watching this video and just wondering what have you missed out, you have no idea what you've missed out, right? So you want to join us in our coaching lab, our global coaching lab, every single week. Don't miss this out, because this is an exclusive event just for coaches at Coaching Shares Lives, where we explore coaching and we deepen our skills all together, right? So if you're wondering how to join us in one of our upcoming programs, do check out the description below. And if you're ever in the area, do stop by, because we have classes all over the world, and with amazing coaches here you can meet, and our team of coaches here who are here to support you as well. Okay, thank you once again for everyone for tuning this evening, and have a wonderful night and sweet dreams.